teenagers in a so-called safe neighborhood. How close we came to losing Joel became evident the next morning. A nurse who'd assisted in the operating room couldn't hide her surprise and relief to learn that Joel was still alive. It took several months, including a return trip to the hospital, for Joel to recover physically. The other wounds will take longer to heal, and we anticipate they'll be painfully reopened when the trial of his attackers gets underway. A few months and 3 fender benders later, while writing the last 3 chapters of this book, my physician called with results from my annual physical. He noted that my PSA number had risen just slightly from the previous year. Though still on the low side, it indicated I should perhaps see a urologist. After all the recent surprises, he decided to take the cautious route. Once again, stunning news hit me. Despite a complete lack of symptoms, I found my body invaded by an aggressive cancer. In fact, the specialist refused to discuss any specific treatment plan until first conducting bone and organ scans. The tests showed all clear, but after nearly a month of waiting for these additional results, I wanted the cancer out immediately. Thank the Lord for doctors who did everything possible to speed up my surgery date, and it's good they did. My surgeon observed that even another week's delay might have allowed the malignancy to spread to other parts of my body. During my recovery period, which included my ministry's first cruise conference to Alaska, I gladly returned to writing, grateful for the chance to finish the final chapter of my draft. My plan was to hand it off to Kathy for a round of edits. But that's when yet another dark cloud rolled over us. Kathy's usually sprightly father went to the hospital complaining of stomach pains. The ER doctors could find nothing wrong with his GI tract, assumed it was just a bout of indigestion, and despite his obvious weakness and shortness of breath, not to mention his daughter's protests, released him to go home. While tying his shoelaces, he sat up to catch his breath, but he never did. He went home that night, indeed, with Kathy standing right beside him. Again we were devastated by the loss of someone near and precious to us. My 2 fathers had always helped me withstand public attacks. Ever since the launch of Reasons to Believe more than 24 years ago, I've had to bear the public distortions of my beliefs and the assassination of my character by those who disagree with my creation perspective. During the past few years, those kinds of assaults had worsened and spread. Compared to Job, however, my suffering seemed slight. Unlike Job, I had the privilege of seeing some immediate benefits. My relationship with my wife and 2 sons deepened in ways they might not have otherwise. Some wonderful opportunities to share reasons for my hope in Christ and scientific evidence supporting it occurred during my hospitalization and recovery process. As I researched and wrote about Job's trials, what impressed me most profoundly was that Job did not waste his suffering. He used the trauma he experienced to draw closer to God and to learn deep truths that would enlighten his friends and ultimately benefit all humanity, as well as observers in the angelic realm. Thanks to my light and momentary troubles, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17, this book and I did some growing. Not only did I gain fresh insight to the interconnectedness of creation theology with the reality of evil and suffering, I also began to see in the creation texts of Job certain aspects of science and creation theology I had previously overlooked. While this book has changed somewhat since I set out to write it, it still focuses predominantly on creation and science. Though many books address the message God gives us through Job about the meaning of suffering, and also what suffering does not mean, what I've written in this book may represent the first attempt to examine Job as a key resource in understanding creation and how to care for creation. It also shows how this ancient book anticipates discoveries that have recently emerged from the frontiers of scientific research, as well as some yet to come. Today, the topic of science and faith, especially with reference to creation, stirs up as much hostility and conflict as virtually any subject a person could name. The fact that creation is a hot button for those who don't yet follow Christ or accept the truth of the Bible probably comes as no great surprise.